Hi there, I'm Seher Zama. In the top focus in that shameful cash for coverage episode, a journalist alleging that BJD leaders tried to bribe the media in Orissa for favourable coverage. Now, this accusation is made against the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Urban Development, which is headed by the BJD MP Pinaki Mishra and the BJD MLA Maheshwar Mohanty being present there as well. The committee had actually come in to oversee developmental work underway and discuss more projects, but soon after the discussion, soon after the press conference, journalists were allegedly given envelopes of 200 rupees each. When the reporters found the money, they protested, they lodged a police complaint, returned the money and lodged that complaint against leaders of the party. Now, the BJD MP here, Pinaki Mishra, though, claims that there was no attempt to bribe the journalists, clarifying that it was merely conveyance allowance there that was given by the organizers.
I am extremely unhappy about it. Ebong deepore moro tanga chairman ka sangare meeting achi. I will definitely report to the chairman that this is most unfortunate and strongest possible action has to be taken in this regard. Kana purira amara sambadik manankar jodi tankara swabiman ko ahat heichi, there is nothing more unfortunate for me than that.
Close confidant of Orissa Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik and Biju Janata
there is nothing more unfortunate for me than that.
Close confidant of Orissa Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik and Biju Janata Dal MP Pinaki Mishra finds himself in the eye of a storm. He was to address a press conference in a plush hotel in Puri as the chairperson of a Parliamentary Standing Committee on Urban Development. Accompanying him was the MLA of Puri. However, when journalists received the press kit, they found that inside the press kit, there were, besides the press release and other documents, tucked 200 rupee notes. The journalists staged a walkout and handed over the press kits to the organizers in protest. Mishra, however, went on to say that this event was being organized by the UCO Bank, as is customary for any public sector bank to host such parliamentary standing committee conferences, and that he had possibly no knowledge of what had happened. While the journalists went ahead and lodged a police complaint against what they say being a direct attempt being made to bribe them, the opposition Congress in Orissa also is crying foul and has lashed out at the Biju Janata Dal and Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik, alleging that after winning ballots and after winning votes only by doling out money, the Biju Janata Dal is now resorting to other unsavory tactics to win over the media as well. Whether the Chief Minister actually takes cognizance of what happened and seeks an explanation from Mishra, whether the UCO Bank comes up with its own version of the story, is what we'll have to keep a close eye on. With video journalist Rajesh Bhagat, Saurav Sanyal, NewsX, Kolkata.
The opposition there in the state of Orissa already crying foul, with the condemnation coming for Naveen Patnaik's men that has come from all across the political spectrum. Let's take a listen in.
I think the meetings of the parliamentary standing committees by itself, they receive a lot of media coverage, and whoever is involved in this crude attempt in bribing the journalists, I think is actually sending a very, very wrong signal. It's a very, I'm not aware of such things happening in the past. It's a very, very bad practice, and whoever is responsible for this must own up and at least tender an apology. I think we are just getting to, let's hear the reactions from the parliamentarians and the chairman of the parliamentary committee to know what their defense is. But as I said, whoever is involved in this, I think it reflects very poorly. As I said, the work done by the standing committees is by itself is very important. And particularly the local media would see a lot of merit in covering these events. As it is, this meeting happening in a city like Puri is a big event.
Our correspondent Saurav Sanyal taking us through more inputs on that. Saurav, we've already seen a statement there having been made by the BJD MP Pinaki Mishra justifying the money being given out as a conveyance allowance to the reporters. But what kind of action really the journalists having sought with that FIR already having been filed against the two leaders of the BJD?
At the center of the controversy is Biju Janata Dal MP Pinaki Mishra. Now, he was there in a plush hotel in Puri along with the Puri's local MLA from his party, and they were to address a press conference. The press conference was being held as a part of, media exchange that happens between a parliamentary standing committee on urban development, of which Pinaki Mishra happens to be the chairperson. And this, incidentally, was hosted, apparently as per Pinaki Mishra, by the UCO Bank. As he has tried to defend it, the entire spate of incidents that followed is that when press kits were handed over to journalists who had gone to cover the program, they found that 200 rupee notes had been tucked inside the press kits. Now, this created a furor because allegations started flying thick and find that this was possibly an attempt to bribe the journalists, and the journalists definitely felt humiliated, they felt insulted, and in protest they decided to hand over the dossier. In fact, the journalists actually walked out of the press conference and they went over to the local police station in Puri and they lodged a complaint against Pinaki Mishra. So this definitely has sparked off a huge controversy in Orissa, and Pinaki Mishra, however, has tried to defend this entire episode and has said that of the 61 journalists who were present for the press conference or who had registered themselves for the press conference, only 15 had in fact returned their dossiers. And he's gone on to say that the UCO Bank was in charge of hosting this press conference as is customary. Generally, all nationalized banks, they hold and they host these such conferences when it pertains to parliamentary standing committees. But that definitely has done little because the damage has already been done and the journalists in Orissa are breathing fire.
Right, Saurav, as you said, while the journalists there already having lodged a police complaint against those two, what really does the opposition plan to do? In fact, let's get in a word. Stay with us, Saurav. Let's get in a word from the Congress spokesperson, Mr. Brijesh Kalappa, with us on the phone line. Thanks for being with us, Mr. Kalappa. In your view, what action really would your party here be taking against the BJD in Orissa?
This is the second such instance where BJD MP has been caught on the wrong side of the law. You will remember that just a few days earlier, one BJD MP was involved with the chit fund scam. And now this is the second such instance. And more such instances will, I think, come to the fore. But the point is that a person who is now trying to do something which destroys the freedom of the press, one, the credibility of the institution of the press, and so on and so forth. I think this is an extremely serious offense. Also, it doesn't come under the Prevention of Corruption Act, but this is something which is totally reprehensible because the press is the fourth pillar of the state.
Right.
And,
Mr. Kalappa, you of course having slammed this entire incident, but what really will the Congress do here against the BJD in Orissa? What action do you plan to take?
No, I think we'll have to bring this to the attention of the public at large and let them know that the government in Odisha is not just corrupt and incompetent, but also it has a view to destroy the freedom of the press, to kill the institution of the press, and in this manner to somehow propagate their own theory of how the state should be run, which is totally wrong.